Imagine a man who rose from the gritty streets of Detroit to command one of the most powerful labor unions in America, a figure so influential that presidents feared him, mobsters courted him, and millions of workers idolized him. But on a sweltering summer afternoon in 1975, he stepped into a parking lot and vanished without a trace. This is the story of Jimmy Hoffa, the Teamsters' iron-fisted leader whose disappearance remains one of history's greatest enigmas. Welcome to Bite-Size Unsolved Crimes, where we dive into the unsolved mysteries that shaped our world. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and let's unravel this tale together. Let's start at the beginning. James Riddle Hoffa, better known as Jimmy, was born on February 14, 1913, in the small town of Brazil, Indiana. Picture a sturdy boy with a determined jawline growing up in a working-class family during the harsh years of the Great Depression. His father, a coal driller, passed away when Jimmy was just 7, leaving his mother to raise 4 children on her own. Young Jimmy, with his piercing blue eyes and stocky build, dropped out of school at 14 to help support the family, taking grueling jobs in warehouses and factories. These early experiences forged his character, tough, relentless, and deeply empathetic toward the everyday laborer struggling against exploitative bosses. By the 1930s, as America grappled with economic turmoil, Hoffa moved to Detroit, a bustling industrial hub roaring with auto plants and truck depots. He was in his early 20s, broad-shouldered and quick-witted, when he joined the International Brotherhood of Teamsters. The union, representing truck drivers and warehouse workers, was still finding its footing. Hoffa, with his fiery speeches and unyielding negotiation style, quickly stood out. He organized strikes that shut down entire supply chains, earning a reputation as a no-nonsense fighter. Visualize him in faded overalls, standing on a makeshift podium amid picket lines, his voice booming over the crowd. "We're not asking for handouts. We're demanding what's ours." Hoffa's ascent was meteoric. In 1936, at age 23, he married Josephine Posiwak, a laundry worker he met during a strike. She was a steady, dark-haired woman who would become his lifelong partner, raising their 2 children amid the chaos of his career. By the 1940s, during World War II, Hoffa had become a key organizer in the Midwest, expanding the Teamsters' reach. He was charismatic, often seen in sharp suits with a cigar clenched in his teeth, schmoozing with members over coffee in diners. But he was also pragmatic, forming alliances that some viewed as controversial, connections to organized figures who helped enforce union contracts in tough industries. The post-war boom of the 1950s catapulted Hoffa to national prominence. America was transforming. Highways expanded, trucks hauled goods coast to coast, and the Teamsters grew into a powerhouse with over 1 million members. In 1957, at the union's convention in Miami, Hoffa, now 44, with a commanding presence and a reputation for loyalty, was elected president. He centralized power, creating the Central States Pension Fund, a massive pool of money that provided retirement security for workers. Under his leadership, wages rose, benefits improved, and truckers gained respect. Hoffa was a hero to many, a self-made man who embodied the American dream, driving a modest car despite his influence, always ready with a handshake or a joke. But power breeds enemies. Enter the Kennedy brothers. In the late 1950s, Senator John F. Kennedy and his brother Robert, as chief counsel for the Senate Labor Rackets Committee, zeroed in on union corruption. Hoffa, with his bold demeanor and sharp tongue, clashed spectacularly with Robert Kennedy during televised hearings. Picture the scene. Hoffa, leaning forward in his chair, his face flushed, trading barbs with the Ivy League-educated Kennedy. "You may have the law on your side," Hoffa reportedly quipped, "but I've got the workers." This feud defined an era, highlighting the tensions between labor and government in Cold War America. By 1960, John Kennedy was president and Robert became Attorney General. They intensified investigations into Hoffa, charging him with jury tampering and fraud related to the pension fund. Hoffa fought back fiercely, his legal battles dragging through the courts. In 1964, he was convicted and sentenced to 13 years in prison. But even behind bars at Lewisburg Penitentiary, Hoffa remained a larger-than-life figure, organizing fellow inmates, staying fit with daily push-ups, and plotting his return. He was paroled in 1971 by President Richard Nixon under the condition that he couldn't run for Union office until 1980. Hoffa, now in his late 50s, with graying hair but undiminished fire in his eyes, saw this as a betrayal. He vowed to reclaim his throne. The early 1970s were turbulent. Watergate scandals rocked the nation, inflation soared, and the Teamsters had a new president, Frank Fitzsimmons, a softer, more establishment-friendly leader who had cozied up to Nixon. Hoffa, feeling sidelined, launched lawsuits to overturn his ban and rallied supporters. He was outspoken, granting interviews where his gravelly voice conveyed frustration. "I've been fighting for workers my whole life, and I ain't done yet." Whispers circulated about his ties to shadowy figures from his past, but Hoffa dismissed them, focusing on his comeback. Then came July 30th, 1975, a day etched in mystery. Hoffa, aged 62, dressed in a dark polo shirt and slacks, drove his green Pontiac Grandville to the Matchas Red Fox restaurant in Bloomfield Township, Michigan. This upscale spot, with its red brick exterior and manicured lawns, was a neutral ground for meetings. Hoffa was scheduled to meet two associates, Anthony Tony Jack Giacalone, a Detroit figure with a slick demeanor and expensive suits, and Anthony Tony Provenzano, a New Jersey union boss known for his burly frame and tough reputation. The purpose? Reportedly, to discuss Hoffa's bid to regain control of the Teamsters and mend fences. Hoffa arrived around 2 p.m., parking near the entrance. Witnesses later described him pacing impatiently, checking his watch, a gold timepiece glinting in the sun. He made a phone call from a nearby payphone to his wife Josephine, sounding annoyed. Where the hell are they? By 2:30 p.m., he was last seen standing by his car, perhaps climbing in or speaking to someone. Then, nothing. Giacalone and Provenzano denied any meeting, providing alibis. Hoffa's car was found unlocked the next day, keys in the ignition, with no signs of struggle. The disappearance sparked immediate alarm. Josephine, worried at home in their modest Lake Orion house, alerted their son James P. Hoffa, a lawyer in his 30s with his father's determined features. Police launched a massive search. Helicopters buzzed over woods, divers scoured lakes, and K9 units sniffed for clues. The FBI took over, interviewing hundreds. Tips flooded in, from alleged sightings in South America to claims of him living under an alias, but none panned out. As months turned to years, theories swirled. Some speculated Hoffa had orchestrated his own vanishing to escape threats or start anew, perhaps fleeing to a quiet life abroad. Others pointed to Union rivals who might have wanted him out of the picture permanently. Connections to organized elements from his earlier alliances fueled rumors of him being unalived and disposed of in creative ways, like buried under a stadium or dissolved in acid drums. But evidence was scarce. A single hair from Hoffa's head found in a car owned by a Giacalone associate, yet no conclusive links. The investigation dragged into the 1980s. In 1982, 7 years after he vanished, as required by Michigan law, Hoffa was declared legally unalived, allowing his family closure for inheritance. His pension, ironically from the fund he built, supported Josephine until her passing in 1980. Son James eventually became Teamsters president in 1998, carrying on the legacy with a more reformed approach. Decades later, in the 2000s and beyond, new leads emerged. In 2001, DNA tests on that hair matched Hoffa, but the trail went cold. A 2004 book by alleged insider Frank Sheeran claimed involvement, inspiring films like The Irishman, depicting Hoffa as a proud, tragic figure. Excavations at farms and landfills in 2006 and 2013 yielded nothing. Even in 2020 S-probes with advanced forensics, the case remains open, a testament to the era's shadowy intersections of labor, politics, and influence. Jimmy Hoffa's disappearance isn't just a puzzle, it's a window into mid-20th century America, where ambition clashed with power, and one man's fight for workers left an indelible mark. What happened that fateful day? We may never know, but his story endures as a cautionary tale of rise and vanishing. Thanks for watching this deep dive into the story of Jimmy Hoffa. If you found this intriguing, give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more unsolved crime, and drop a comment below. What do you think happened to Jimmy Hoffa? Hit the bell for notifications, and I'll see you in the next video. Stay curious and thanks for watching.